Is he wearing a mask? Why, yes he is. Today's episode brought to you by wear a fucking mask, please. The number of people that I see outside not wearing this shit drives me nuts. So, here it is. PSA. Is that what this video is about? No, but this shit, don't cut it. I'm still, look. See that shit? That's me breathing booger nose germs on you. What is this? That's a sick chin guard. That ain't a mask, okay? Put it on. So today, I'm gonna look like I'm doing surgery, so that we all are reminded, a gentle reminder to put your fucking mask on. Alright, so, in advance, spoiler alert. That's right, baby. We are talking about Paper Goddamn Mario. I don't know if I'm going to try to avoid doing spoilers, but chances are I'll probably say one or two things. This is a review. It's been out for a while. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. So let's just get into what I love right off the bat. I love looking into the minds of Mario characters. So many times you just hear them like jumping and making like these weird video game noises. And like you never get any sort of like perspective as to like what they might be thinking. And I love the way that it's just kind of like a casual, very like you're talking with your friend kind of dialogue. And I think it definitely reminded me of the first game I played, which was the one on the GameCube. The second thing that I absolutely loved, and I think this is such a step forward in every Mario game that's been coming out, is the environment. Super Mario Odyssey nailed it. They like just absolutely tossed it out of the park, but the environment in this one is super gorgeous. For all this origami stuff, it's just like so, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting it. It was just really good. The absolute next thing, and if you watch any of the playthrough, you'll absolutely know that I was obsessed with the music. The music was phenomenal. Some of the best Mario music I've ever heard, and I haven't really said that since I think probably Mario Galaxy, and before that it was Mario Sunshine. Those were like two just absolute toss everything in the garbage, let's start over with a Mario track and like just kill it, right? Super Mario Odyssey had some good music, but it was never, I don't know, it was never as catchy. I mean, it was still really good. If anything, that's like top whatever. Like I would put probably Paper Mario as something new and wonderful, Super Mario Galaxy, and then probably Mario Odyssey. But yeah, the music, I could not stop talking about it. There were so many times where I would just stop and listen, and like, it's so good. It's just so good. I don't know what else to say. Kudos to the composer of this game. The next thing that I absolutely loved, and I don't know if this is everybody's humor, but I've been told I kind of have dad humor, so who knows. I found the jokes absolutely hilarious. The kind of like shitting on themselves that they would do was hilarious. Like, you know, when the Koopas were talking about, you know, how are they going to beat someone, all they do is walk slowly to the side and damage people. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And there's so many other jokes in there that are made that are just like, they got me cracking up super hard. So love the dialogue in this game, to an extent, of course, and I'll get into that later. Even in the background of like the fight scenes, which in general I pretty much cut out, just, you know, to keep it interesting and keep the flow going. It was just so funny. The things that the Toads would say, the Koopas would say, the Goombas would say, and I ended up like actually loving a lot of those characters because of that. It just got me super invested.
Dark, dark, dark. We love it up.
Now, the cons. As much positivity as I do have to say about the game, there are some glaring issues with the game. And it's nothing that's like buggy or anything, although I did hear there was like one bug, but I never really looked into it. Nothing that I was able to notice offhand. The game ran really smoothly, and the environments just kind of really fit with the gameplay. I do wish there was a sprint button. There was like a lot of times where I was just kind of trying to hurry through a section, And so something that just made you run even a little bit faster. I mean, I'm not trying to go Sonic speed or whatever, but like, yeah, something to, I don't know, push the game forward a little bit. Next con, Olivia. Good God. Some of the dialogue, I mean, at first it was really charming, right? After a while, I was just like, oh my God, shut up. Just like, there's just so much pause dialogue that was just drive me up the wall for things that were like so easy to see. Oh, there's a green Volamental circle thing on the ground. Maybe we should go press X. I wonder what it'll do. Oh, this is so exciting. Do you think it'll become like a giant monster or something? I can't wait to get to it. Let's go, Mario. See, I did the thing that you said. I said the thing you said. Approve of me, senpai. And the whole time, I was just like mashing A to get to the dialogue so that I could mash X to get over to that green Elemental thing. And it was just like, I don't know, it just felt super dragged on. And oh man, I could have done with like half of that dialogue. And then some of the times it was just like, we'll be like leaving a place and I'm just like, okay, Olivia's gonna give us a whole speech about where we're supposed to go when it just showed us in the cutscene. So I would kind of get it if it were like more a little kid's game, but it really, like, the puzzles just didn't make it feel that way. So I'm just confused. It's like a mixture between being a little kid's game and super easy to understand, very straightforward, and then just absolute tomfuckery with with the puzzle solving. And I will get to the puzzle solving, trust me. The next thing that definitely got to me was the Luigi backtracking. There were so many times where you just like be finished with this long ass journey to this place that you finally wanted to get to, only to find out that Luigi had taken the goddamn key. And like, it was like kind of funny the first few times, right? And after a while you're just like, oh my God, come on, man. Just trying to get to the place. Like, just want to fight the final boss. Let's get there. So, I mean, in general, I mean, like, I get it. You have to kind of like draw out the game, but like, after a while, it's just so drawn out that I personally felt exhausted. And like, Luigi, listen, brother, from you to me, right? I'm looking at you, right? You got a sick fucking hat. I love who you are. You're my bro to the end. My dude. Stop. Yeah, I could have done without like half the Luigi drawbacks. I mean, one or two times it would make it absolutely hilarious, but to do it every time for every key was so dumb. And last, but certainly not frackin' least, the combat, yo. The combat has to be my least favorite thing out of any Mario game ever. My God, I cannot stress that enough. I was so relieved to like get max up hearts, because like when you get max up hearts, you get to a point where you can like just jump on an enemy, bam, they're dead. You don't have to go through the whole thing. And maybe I'm dumb, maybe I'm just dyslexic or something, but like I could not, for the life of me, do the rings. Like they were just, the way that you move them, like you can't move it up and down, you can't like move back and forth. You have to like reset, go all the way back. And there were certain times where I'd figure out the puzzle, but I couldn't like move through the controls. If they had some sort of like, I don't know, mechanism or some sort of option to like let you change that flow, that'd be awesome, because I was just so confused. Really awful combat system. And it's always over explained by Olivia for like the basic fights and even the boss fights, but like the boss fights, it's just like regular dialogue, and I don't know what the fuck is happening half the time. So that's probably my next biggest thing. On top of the ring combat being sucky, I didn't know what was happening with the bosses half the time. Half the time I was worried about dying. I'm like, how is this a little kid's game? Because you're supposed to do these really obscure things to beat the bosses sometimes that just don't make any sense. Like, sometimes it was something so random that had never been introduced to, like, I don't know, a previous boss fight, that you're just like thinking like, oh, maybe I can jump on them, and it turns out you can't. Like, you just, and then you get severely punished by it to a point where it's just like you're down to like less than half your health, and it's like, whoa, dude. There was a there was a final boss fight, the scissors, and oh man, I really don't know if I should. Well, anyway, the scissors. I'm sad I couldn't get this recording, just because it turned out being so laggy. Well, the scissors ended up being this boss fight where it's like, if you mess up one thing, you end up getting cut, right? And they kind of give you a break at the beginning, but if you don't know not to mess with that, like I got the hint at the end that it's just like, don't mess with that break that they give you or you're gonna die. And I was like, are you serious? And I got it as I was about to break the little barrier that kind of protects you. So it's just half the time I didn't know what was going on with the boss fights, and it's like it's a lot of trial and error, and the errors are like severely punished. The combat takes forever. It's so dumb, and like it's just like it's so mentally taxing the whole time. It's nothing like an RPG. And in general, it's just not really rewarding. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, if I felt good about what I had just done, figuring out this puzzle, it would have been different, but it just keeps resetting the circle. There's no sense of planning. You just kind of figure it out on the spot, and it becomes like a time trial thing. I think if they wanted to improve the boss fights, a very viable solution is to just kind of introduce, like, say for example, like there's a boss that you fight in the ice territory. If they had smaller like minions that you could fight, and they would like introduce these concepts of like breaking the ice around the stage by flipping through it horizontally, to kind of give you hints to the boss fight so that you go in more prepared, that would be awesome. But the whole time it's just like they introduce like 5 new concepts in a boss fight that just kind of leave you just stumped, like what do you do? So yeah, I think all those cons kind of make this game just feel a little bit exhausting. But nonetheless, I highly recommend this game. I know, I just shit-talked it for like an hour and a half and maybe a day. But like, I highly recommend this game. The music makes it so worth it. I'm still humming some of those tunes, like the combat tunes in my head, just as I'm like washing the dishes. The dialogue is hilarious, even though it's drawn out sometimes. And I think in general, I highly recommend this as like just an experience. And this point I'll save for like my final point as for why, if you're considering buying the game, that you should buy the game. I know I already spoke a little bit about like the characters and how they kind of like got their own personalities, but the story is awesome. The story kind of like really gets you emotionally attached to some characters, as you've maybe seen on my Instagram, #@snugglyasfuck. I don't know how to do Instagram, but like when you lose certain characters, and you will, it's so heartbreaking, because you kind of like, I mean, and maybe it's just because I was voice acting half of these, but it's just like I gave them such a personality that I was just kind of like, please don't go. Oh gosh, yeah, there's stuff I could say about characters that I don't want to necessarily spoil, but I definitely got emotionally attached to some of them, and I think that really speaks to the dialogue of this game. It's super well written, one of the best written Mario games that I've ever played, and I think that itself is probably worth buying. And you know, me reading and voice acting is probably some of the stuff that drew out like this kind of the dialogue a little bit too much for me. I don't think the game is very well advertised. I mean, it's really hard to show specific things without like kind of giving it all away. They did like a Nintendo Treehouse, but that just really doesn't do it justice to what the entirety of the game is. Yeah, it's in general, I mean, if I had to give it like a score, like out of 10, probably about an 8, and I'm kind of a harsh critic, so like 10 out of 10, at least for me. I can't even really think of a game, but if I were to give you some sort of perspective, like God of War being an amazing game, I'd probably give like a 9 out of 10. This one kind of falls below that, maybe 7.5 final offer. Deal. Bang. Yeah, 7.5 seems kind of reasonable. I don't know. maybe I'll do more reviews in the future. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for all the love and support. We're almost at 20 subs, but I didn't expect to get 5. So listen, I'm just really appreciative of everybody that subscribed and everybody that's watching, and I hope to be able to pay you back someday in one way or another, whether that's like through making music or just like keeping you entertained through these really horrible fucking times. But as always, I love you to the extent of the universe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.